Okay, let's get these jars ready in the steam canner for a couple and recheck all my rims. This is how I set up for a pressure canning. The steam canner is a perfect vessel to heat my lids in water and get my jars hot, and it actually does sterilize them, but that's not necessarily because we're canning for more than 10 minutes. We're pressure canning ground beef. So let me get started. Hi guys, welcome back to Linda's Pantry, and today I am finally getting to part of my canning plan was to put some ground beef on the shelf, help clear out some space out of the freezer. I know it doesn't seem like a lot of space, but it's space. When you have a half a cow coming in, 2 or 3 months, you better get the space taken care of. So I've thawed this out in the refrigerator in the garage for a day and a half. And now we're going to get the induction cooktop going, because as you saw, I've got my jars getting hot and ready. I've got my water in the canner and a tablespoon of vinegar, but that's all I'm going to do. We are using 4 jars, lids for the win today. And then we're going to go ahead and get this started. I want to go medium. I want a medium. Let's get it up to 325, 350. We'll say 350 and start. Got the induction cooktop. You have to have a pan that's suitable for that, which that is. And we're just going to get this meat browned off. Now I am going to use a little bit of olive oil to get it started, even though this is a really nice non-stick pan that I got at Costco. So really maybe a teaspoon of that, because this beef is very lean. And we'll get to opening and dropping that in. And I'm doing 7 pints, so 7 pounds of ground meat is going to go in. And in goes the package, one by one. That's what I'll be doing. And breaking it up as we go. We just need to brown it. It only needs to be cooked about 2/3 of the way through. It doesn't have to be cooked thoroughly. I am going to make a pot of better than bouillon to pour over the meat. The maltodextrin in the bouillon will help keep the texture of the meat. It also helps flavor it. I don't add any salt because that has salt in it. And then we're going to move on. So let's get to the meat portion. And let me get this all browned up for you. And then we can start loading up the jars. Okay. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Okay, guys. I've got my, I got to turn that down. My steam canners is steaming. My bouillon broth is hot and ready. And I made enough to fill these jars, plus some because I've got a dish coming up later tonight. All 7 packages, thankfully, fit in here. And it's almost done. It's okay to see a little bit of pink, but you definitely want it par cooked. Can you raw pack beef? Yes, but only in chunks. Ground beef, you cannot raw pack. So go to the National Center for Home Food Preservation and look up canning ground meat. Or any of your ball canning books have safe information on how to can. Even the instructions that come with your canner will have, this is about right. And I did turn this up to a sear, so we're just going to keep it hot. There's a little pink left, but not much. And I don't want to break it up so it's really, really fine. But ground meat, the bouillon or the water, you can use water. That is the catalyst that gets between each chunk of meat. If you did it all raw packed, you'd have a big solid mass, and the chances of the heat getting to the center of the jar are very small. It's not worth the risk for you or your family or your friends, whoever's eating this later, to risk having issues. So I'm going to turn this on low while I make a mess and clean that mess up. and get my jars over here. Okay, so we're ready to start jarring this up. And, oh, I need my funnel. I guess we're not ready. Get all your things out. I got a vinegar soaked paper towel. Got my hot jars, my hot lids, my rings over here, and I'm ready. So we're going to get this. I just turned the meat off, so it's still nice and hot. And any of the juices in that meat, I don't hesitate to put that in a jar. That is flavor from that Angus beef, right? So we want all of it. And this is to an inch of headspace. Just pack it loosely. You're going to, if you need to, which that one I feel like is too full, we're going to find out though. Let's get a poke at it. Nope, that's perfect. Now we're going to add some more liquid. And that's our bouillon, right? It's not going to take much, but like I said, I have another recipe. So hopefully you can see that filling up through the sides of the jar, which it's the same color as the beef broth that the beef made, which is wonderful. So an inch of headspace. If you are not sure about your headspace, use this side of your debubbling tool. And make sure it's straight up and down and it's touching the top of the liquid, which it is. Debubble, debubble, debubble. And make sure, and sometimes your headspace will change a little bit because there's air pockets in there. But you want to get that done correctly. And that did change just a hair. So we're going to give it another little whoop. Not much. But then our beef is completely submerged in that delicious broth. Get your hot jar out. Wipe the rim, and as you saw, I inspected the rims, but as you're going around that, even through that paper towel with vinegar, you can feel if there's something wrong. We're going to get us a flat and get that 4 jars lid on there. And hot, fingertip tight. As soon as you meet resistance, that guy can wait in the canner for the rest of the crew. And now, pretty much, okay, sorry about that. I had to cough. Sometimes it just happens. All right. Fill in the jars, rinse and repeat. Couldn't be easier, really, if you think about it. And you're preserving what's in your freezer instead of getting rid of it. One of the girls at work, she has a half a cow coming, and she just gave away about 80 pounds of ground beef because she didn't know what to do with it. Anyway, it's all good. Inch of headspace. Super important that your headspace is correct. It needs that gap between the lid and the product. In this case, the ground beef. It needs it in there so it can actually get a good suction at the end. That's perfect. Perfect. And if you've got a little fat in there, it's not going to hurt anything. Trust me. It'll still seal. If you've got everything else right, you'll get a seal. Okay, I'm going to get the rest of these jars done, and hopefully it's just 7. If not, I'll be using that ground beef in my recipe. In the canner she goes to wait for the rest of the group. All right. That is how simple it is. And I've got my canner heating up. I just added medium, so it's hot water, hot jars, hot canner, hot everything. And then we're ready to go. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I've got 7 pints in here, and there's enough left over for my dinner, believe it or not. I am super excited about that because my dinner is a bacon cheeseburger soup. So, perfect. I don't have to, ouch, that canner is hot. Be careful. Don't do that. Don't do what I do. Then you're going to get the lid on. And I let my canner come up kind of slow. The jars, you want the jars tempered, hot food, hot jars, hot water in the canner. But coming up, it doesn't need to go full steam ahead. So a medium back on the burner is plenty. And so you're going to, across from each other, put your thumb screws on an All-American canner. And then once you've got them all on there, then you can start tightening them down. What that does is levels out the lid and keeps it from leaking because it's a metal-to-metal seal. This little workhorse. This is a 10.1 All-American canner. I believe that this is down in my Amazon store. If you're interested in this canner, it was the best money I've ever spent because I can do small batch canning. 7 pints is a nice amount. I don't have to do 20 or 19 pints at a time, but you do need to use regular mouth if you want 7 pints in this. If you use wide mouth, you're only going to get 5, I believe. Maybe it's only 4. Anyways, you can put 4 quarts in here, but I typically, if I'm going to do quarts, I want 7 quarts of whatever I've got going, so I use the bigger canner. But today, we use the little guy. All right. We'll be back. This is going to come up to temperature and then it's going to start venting a steady stream of steam, which I look through this. I could see through that like a peephole in the door. You want to make sure that's clear. There's no reason for it not to be, but it's already starting to spit water. As soon as it's got that steady stream of steam, that's venting. It's replacing the air in the canner with hot steam in between every jar and acclimating the whole area. That steam is what's going to create that 240 degrees that we need. And for my area, I'm going to be using a 10-pound weight. This weight has a 5, 10, or 15 pounds. So for my altitude, it's 10 pounds. Please check your altitude. And the guidelines are always in the ball canning book or on the National Center for Home Food Preservation. You can find out what weight you should be using because it is critical to kill any microorganisms or botulism, that you are at the correct weight. Most canning books will say 10 pounds, but you need to make sure that that's right for your area. All right. After the 10 minutes is up, I will put the weight on. We will wait till it starts doing a hula dance. And that hula dance should just be a real soft hula dance. We will, to prevent siphoning, and we'll adjust our stove little by little if we need to go down to the lowest temperature and still maintain a hula once or twice a minute. All right. We'll be back when we're taking these out of the canner. Okay. This is what a steady stream of steam looks like. You can, if you're not sure, put something that you can see it on and hear it. And it should go up, 10, 12 inches. I don't remember if I said, once I do put the weight on and it starts that dance, it's going to dance for 75 full minutes for pints. For quarts, it would be 90 minutes. Again, before you start canning, reference some trusted sites like the instructions for your pressure canner and or the American National Center for Home Food Preservation. And that is per the USDA for safe guidelines. You want to be safe. Okay, guys, this is how I do it. This canner has come off of pressure slowly and evenly, and I let it go until I can pull this weight off, and it goes. It shouldn't have more than 5 or 10 seconds of that. You will get a little bit with an All-American. Not so much with the Prestos, but the All-Americans you will. Then I let it sit for about 5 minutes. It's been sitting here. Then I start loosening up the thumb screws. And we're going to loosen these up across from each other, just like I tightened them, right? And then this is how we roll from here on. So then I'm going to get the lid and prop something, a spatula, something that's heat safe, that'll be safe with heat. And it's going to sit here for another 10 minutes, minimum 10 to 15 minutes. I can smell the ground beef, so there might be a little bit of siphoning. If you can smell it, sometimes that's a factor because it vents out of the lid while it's canning. So we're going to let this sit, and I'll be back when I'm pulling those jars out. All right, guys, we are ready. This has been sitting like this for a good 10 minutes anyway. And I can see a little bit of siphoning in the water. That's kind of normal. I see one lid that's cattywampus, which I don't know why that happens, which that lid probably won't seal. So because this is going to have some fat in the water, I'm going to layer some paper towels down on my mat here, just so I don't want to stain that. You know what I'm saying? Okay, here we go. Take that off. And okay, here we go. One beautiful jar of ground beef. 7 pints of ground beef canned. And the water is clear, but there's some fat in there. Like I said, you're going to have a little bit of siphoning. That's what jars do. They vent and liquid comes out. And yeah, we just have to deal with that. Not a big deal. Okay. 7 pints of ground beef going on the pantry shelf. The first recipe I use for this, I will let you know. I will bring you along and we'll do it together. How's that? If you want to see a specific recipe, please leave me a comment in the comment section below so I can figure out what I can do with this. Do you want to see tacos, a hamburger, some kind of hamburger casserole? Obviously, you're not going to do hamburger or patties, you know. You would have to do that and brown them and all that. But just let me know what you'd like to see. And as always, guys, I can't wait to see you next time for another delicious recipe, quite possibly using this ground beef and always using 4 jars lids. Go down below. My coupon code is Linda's Pantry, no apostrophe, all one word. You get 10% off your complete order. I always stand on their anti-fatigue mat in my kitchen. Keeps my legs and feet from being uncomfortable after a long day of canning or preserving. And put this back on the shelf. I think we're ready to do 7 pints of taco meat next. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. All right, guys. I can't wait to see you next time. Bye. Safe canning, always. Check your ball canning book or the National Center for Home Food Preservation to get safe canning instructions. Always with 4 jar lids. You gotta love the bubble. It's all about the bubble. All of the jars sealed, and if you'd like to see a taste test, let me know in the comment section below.